Hi, I'm Claire Dyer, and welcome back to another episode of DYER Consequences, where we like to give you the real stories as best we can. Today, we will be talking about the silent grid. You've all seen them, towering wind turbines on the horizons, fields of gleaming solar panels stretching for miles, quiet facilities filled with massive batteries, and the 5G towers going up faster than you can literally count them. They tell us it's all for green energy, faster speed and better connected future. But what if the future is actually wired for control? That this infrastructure we told is saving the planet is actually building a digital cage around us. My guest today is going to be talking about this infrastructure and what people in their communities can do to push back. So I'd like to welcome to the show today, Cassie from the National Residents Association.
Hi, Claire.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. All right. Always nervous. So today I've asked you to come on because there's a lot of work that you've been doing, mainly, I'm saying the West Country, isn't it? And up to the north a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. So we've been operating in different parts of the country, and we do have a couple of branches in London. One in Surrey. We've got a Surrey branch. We have an inner city London branch as well. And we've got a couple of branches up in the Highlands, right the way down to the southwest.
To start with, tell me why you're called the National Residents Association, because there's a reason for that, isn't there?
Yeah, right. So I knew very early on that it was a way to reach the general public. And I thought, well, let's just start in this area and see what happens. But then I thought, actually, no, because I can't just have it working well in one area. It needs to work well in every area. So that's kind of how I started the National Residents Association, so that other people can just pick up what we've done, use the tools, and utilize that in their own area with ongoing support.
Yeah, so that each area can essentially set up their own local residency association, and that's kind of what you do, isn't it? You go around, you give talks and hold events to educate people. So tell me what it is that you educate the general public about.
Well, a whole variety of topics, I have to be honest. So one of our first missions that we started to move into originally when we started back in 2022, I think it was, we were looking at 5G and the large scale rollout that was happening widespread across the country. And I think a lot of people don't realize what these towers are for. So we wanted to try and stop this rollout because we had concerns that they would be impacting people locally. Number one, not only are they an eyesore, there is concerns that they could be devaluing people's properties. The electricity use from them as well. So it says that one monopole mast, which this one that you've got on the screen is actually what we'd call small cell phased array antennas. They are like the smaller version of the big monopole mast, where a monopole mast is usually, when it's on, it can actually use about 72 to 75 houses worth of power to fuel one monopole mast. So right. That's an unprecedented amount of electricity. When we've been out campaigning to stop them prior to them going up, we talk to people about these factors, and people go, well, I don't want that outside my property. So you're quite surprised.
Yeah, because a lot of people are really unaware, aren't they, at the dangers of 5G. And when people talk about 5G, they would put that under the conspiracy theory bracket, wouldn't they? But once you've gone out and started actually giving people the facts that they don't tell us, people are quite shocked, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, they are. We've got a really good blue leaflet that showcases all of the symptoms, but it also enlightens people as to, the voltage. People don't understand. So when we've gone out and tested masts, which we've just started up a YouTube channel. So what we're going to do is start uploading some of our older videos where we've done loads of readings in different parts of the country, and those readings are showing how high these towers can be and what sort of effect that is having on people. So when we speak to the general public about it, they'll say that they've had brain fog, tinnitus, worst case symptoms, nosebleeds, all different, a variety of different symptoms. So, yeah.
And that's what a lot of people are not aware of, are they? Because they don't tell you this. This factors in as well, doesn't it, to solar farms, the battery farms, the wind turbines, can't even say that word now, that is all part of that same infrastructure to support net zero.
Yeah.
And you know, all the research that you've done on battery farms, they're not necessarily clean, are they? They're not good for the environment. And the same with solar farms. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Right. So it all feeds back into a smart city infrastructure. So this infrastructure, the solar, wind and battery energy storage systems in particular, is an adaptation to the existing smart city infrastructure, which I can explain a little bit more about in a minute. But if we talk about solar, wind and battery energy storage systems, they are rolling out solar farms all over the country.
I think we have a map as well. If the studio can put the map up of the amount of solar and battery farms they want. I mean, when you see that, that's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is government data. So I would strongly advise anybody to go and check out. It's on the Renewable Energy Planning Database, which is REPD.
Right. So this map actually comes from a government website.
That's correct. Yeah. So you can find it under Renewable Energy Planning Database, and I'll probably provide you with a link, Claire, so that you can post it out so people can go and check it.
And when you look at that map, that's a lot of solar farms, battery farms, wind turbines all over our green land and fields, isn't it?
Yeah. And that status quo there is, some of them are operational and already been put up. However, there's a lot of planning applications that have gone in, and it does show you some that have been objected to. But when you look at the magnitude of this rollout, it is absolutely unprecedented, and it could be life-changing. So just to put it into a bit more context for the viewers, to make it a little bit easier. Now, in total, there's about 26 renewable energy types. So that also expands onto things like hydrogen facilities, uranium, which is uranium, and they're huge containers as well, which will be going on the land. There's hydro centres, there's all different types of energy, but the main ones that you can see on the screen, even though it's showing all of them, is the yellow kind of orange colour, all planned or refused or operational solar farms. Now, I've had calls from people that are talking about that they're putting a 10,000 acre solar farm near there in one area. Then in another area of 7,000 acres in Lincoln. Wow. So I'm just naming a few different areas as to where this solar rollout is happening. But as you can see, that's not just in Lincoln or in Kent. That's happening absolutely everywhere. So this data becomes even more critical for people to become aware of, because ultimately it's not just that, it's then combined with wind turbines. So the dark blue dots are onshore wind turbines. Now, there are quite a few that's operational, but there's a new site, let's just say there's a new application that's just gone in, and they're trying to put up 60 wind turbines in one location. 60. Wow. 60. And each wind turbine, on average, it cuts, depending on the size of the wind turbine, it takes about 1,000 tons of concrete per wind turbine.
Yeah, that doesn't sound environmentally friendly.
Exactly.
And we've got no wind.
And then you think about solar when we've got rain.
Again, that's the other thing as well. I mean, we are living in the UK. I mean, it's supposed to be the height of summer now, and we get one day of sun, a couple of days of rain and cloud, and they've even told us they're going to be dimming the sun. So it sounds quite contradictory, doesn't it? Because they want to put all these solar panels everywhere, all over farmland, etc., and yet we don't get enough sun. So then what happens then? Because my understanding, do these solar farms also then have backup generators that are using lithium batteries.
That is right. Yeah,
So
they're
that's
called.
neither, is it?
So on that map, if we, I don't know if we might be able to go back to that map, but there's purple dots on here. Now, these purple dots are what we would call battery energy storage systems, and commonly known as BESS. And BESS is essentially, it's like the size of a shipping container, and they contain lithium ion batteries. So when there's an overflow of electricity from your solar or your wind turbine, it then kicks back to the battery energy storage system that holds that data. This is what they look like. That it holds it for about 4 to 6 hours. And then we don't know where the energy goes thereafter. So that's a bit of a mystery at the moment.
So we had this issue obviously last year. So they wanted to put a solar farm literally not even a quarter of a mile from my house. But then just 2 miles down the road, they wanted a battery farm. And obviously that battery farm was ultimately to support the solar farm when we didn't have any sun. All of this was going to be linked to the national grid. And they tried to sell it to us. So the company came in. And they have their little presentation evening, and they literally just sell all the rose tinted, glasses version of it, but they don't tell you any of the negatives at all. And they were saying, oh, how many houses it could power. And people were thinking, oh, yeah, that's great. But what we actually found out was it wasn't actually going to be for us. It was going to essentially go to the national grid. But we were going to have to put up with this eyesore. But you explained some of the down points, because one of which I know, and a lot of people are finding out with the lithium battery containers, is that if there's a fire with a lithium battery, it's extremely hard to put out. And
that's just, I mean, I'll give you one example in the UK. There was a lithium battery fire that took place in 2020, which happened in Liverpool, and it was an explosion, and it took 59 hours to put that fire out. 59. Wow. And that's just one explosion. Now we're seeing, apparently, according to different sources, it's very variable here, Claire. Now, this is the problem. Some sources say there's been 85 BESS fires worldwide, right? Now, some other sources say there's been about 35. However, recently, the other day, there was a huge fire that happened in Spain with regards to battery energy storage systems. And, we're seeing there's a new planning application for a battery storage site going near a primary school up north that we're pushing back on. So
I don't.
And that's just one shipping container. One.
And also, they don't tell you what the life is, say, of a solar farm, what the life is currently of a battery farm. Right now, they don't actually have the facilities to dispose of these lithium batteries because they're a little bit behind on that. There's a whole kind of array of factors, isn't there? So the life of that solar farm, battery farm, and what is it for a solar farm? It's about 5 years, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not very long. Not very long.
Battery farm?
I don't know. I think it's probably over 10 years, but it's
probably, I heard somewhere between 10 and 15 years max. But then what happens to that land afterwards? They try and sell you that it can return to what it was previously used for. But actually, if you choose to do your own research, and this is the problem, people don't do their own research. They trust what they're told. And obviously what they're told is by the company, and the company are obviously trying to sell this to you, and they want to make money out of this. They don't tell you that land actually becomes brown land, do they?
And also, you think about long term,
which means it can't go back to what it was used
before. Yeah. So the land classification would change on the land use. So anything from it depends on what asset class of like property type it is. But after a certain finite period of time, the classification of what that land can be used for under UK real estate law would change its trajectory. So therefore, if you see this, now what could that land look like in about 20 years' time if it's not used? So from an ecological, possibility, what's that going to look like for the community? What's that going to look like for the land, the wildlife?
Yeah.
Exactly. So in China, for an example, they are now trying to put, well, I think there was a part of China where they put 300 miles, I think, of solar panels on the sea. So, and then in India, they're putting them over canals. In the UK, we're putting them over fields.
It's mad. And from what I read as well, that we actually have enough roof space in this country, i.e. on industrial buildings, etc., to cater for all the solar panels that they would need. So why are they not doing that, and why are they taking the land instead?
Exactly. And then why are we building another 1.5 million homes at the same time as doing all of this? So if we're building more homes and we have less place to grow food, what does that look like?
Exactly. It seems all very hypocritical to the net zero agenda that they're actually pushing once you actually look into it further. And what do you think all this infrastructure is actually for?
Well, they built a smart city infrastructure, and essentially with the fourth industrial revolution, it's all about changing the way that we live our lives. So for the people that don't know what that actually means, is a more evolved AI, artificial intelligence. Lots of people are trying out ChatGPT now, these kind of things to enhance them. But actually, sometimes it's got its benefits and its disadvantages, because what we're doing is we're feeding an artificial intelligence system. Essentially, we are the guinea pigs for it. So that potentially there is that potential that artificial intelligence could start taking over jobs. They're already telling us that about 4 million jobs will be lost because of, I read somewhere, but
They won't need us, will they? With all this technology, and they're not gonna need humans to do that work, are they? Some would say that obviously they're pushing obviously solar panels, the lithium batteries, wind turbines, and then the 5G, and also data centers as well.
Yeah.
That infrastructure, they're pushing it under the guise of net zero, because that's the scaremongering again, isn't it, to make us comply, when actually it is to support the digital system that they want us in. So digital ID, the digital currency, CBDC banking, and smart cities, essentially.
Yeah,
because everything's going smart.
That's right.
They need this infrastructure. So what you do is, you obviously, as you said, you set up the National Residents Association, and you pretty much travel up and down the country. I mean, I've never known anyone travel so much, do so many talks, to try and educate people. And you've got one video that's absolutely brilliant. I think it's absolutely great, which we're going to, hopefully the studio's got now, and we can put that up and then talk about that video.
Okay.
I love Boris's voice.
It's him. It's actually him.
It's actually
your
him.
parents,
Yeah.
your children, your doctor, even your personal trainer. But it takes real effort to conceal your thoughts from Google. Smart cities will pullulate with sensors, all joined together by the Internet of Things. Bollards communing invisibly with lampposts. A future Alexa will pretend to take orders, but this Alexa will be watching you, clucking her tongue and stamping her foot. Doomed to a cold and heartless future in which computer says yes, or computer says no, with the grim finality of an emperor in the arena. AI, pink-eyed Terminator sent back from the future to cull the human race. Any scientific advance is punished by the gods.
Do you know, it's funny actually, because I listened to this and watched it last night. And there was certain points of what he's just said. And I was thinking, didn't he say this in a speech at a summit? Was it a summit? Was it a Davos? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was UN. It was a UN address. I think it was either in 2018 or 2019. And so I would strongly recommend anybody to watch that.
Yeah, because that was
him.
Because you've put it obviously to your advertisement essentially with all of that. It fooled me for a second to almost believing that it was his voice put together with those words and that he didn't actually say that. But as I said, there were certain bits of it and I was thinking, I remember him saying that. I remember him saying that. Has this all been put together? But actually, it's even worse than that because he has actually said it. So the ex-Prime Minister of the UK has actually told us what their intentions are, and there's still people out there that don't believe it. That's crazy.
That's why I made this little 1 minute clip, because I thought we've got to. It's about showing people, you see, and that little clip is supposed to entice people to go and watch the World Economic Forum Explainer video, which you can find on my website. And it's called "Who Runs the World and Where Do They Stand?" You know, so anybody that doesn't really know and wants to learn a bit more about it can go and check that out. But yeah, that's the whole point of it, because people don't believe you unless they see something or hear something.
Yeah. And what was also on there, you know, it showed about electric, smart cities, obviously the 5G, ULEZ, LTNs. It literally right there ties everything up. Everything that is happening is all connected. And in that 1 minute, 18 second clip, you have got Boris Johnson telling you everything that they intend to do, that this agenda is real. This is what is going to happen. And if all of it is connected. And as you said, you know, you've talked about devolution, but we can see what's happening, whether it is ULEZ, it's the LTNs, it's changing how the way in which we live our lives through our circumstances and also financially. You've got the ULEZ cameras that do already have facial recognition. They can change the speed cameras at any given moment. The police can use them, which they currently are not at the moment, but they have those capabilities and will. And how do they support this entire infrastructure of facial recognition cameras everywhere, CCTV cameras everywhere, smart motorways, you know, digital ID, digital currency? How do they support all of that with this infrastructure that you're trying to make people aware of and educate?
Well, it all goes back to data. So if you think, we have 514 data centers in this country and new applications are going in even now. So it's all about wanting to monitor and surveil you. So if we are now the third most heavily surveilled country in the world, which on average it costs about £7,000 per camera on average, right? So who is paying for that? I think the question is quite clear who will be paying for that and what pools of money that would be coming from. So then we have 5G, which is transporting that data back to your nearest data center. So if you want to talk to the general public, you've got to think about things that are pain points, like a problem. So a lot of people don't realize that the digging up of the roads, when a lot of the time they have been putting fiber optic cabling down. So they say they're coming around to do this fiber optic cable. But what's really happening is they needed to speed it up for their smart city infrastructure.
And I do follow the One Network site, which people can do. It's a public site. You just put in one.
I loved it when you told me that. It was brilliant.
I know, it's great, isn't it? Because then you can see every permit and who's put in that permit and what the work is. And I've come across a lot for fibre, a lot, just in my area, everywhere.
But you see, this is a good way to get the general public, you see, because when people get annoyed about something, such as the road closures, for an example, because businesses are crumbling because road closures are going on, this is a good way to win over the community about an issue or a multitude of issues that they might not agree with.
Yeah. So how do you reach the general public? Because obviously I know you say you do your presentations, events, you have leaflets that are done to catch the general public and for them, to give them that light bulb moment. How do you go about that?
Well, a lot of people, what we've gone and done is it's very variable in different areas. So let's just say, for an example, we've got a campaign going on at the moment up north, and they're campaigning against battery energy storage systems. They've had an unprecedented amount of battery energy storage systems. So with this particular campaign, we're going out, target leaflet dropping, and then we're going to sort of, we've reached out to the head teacher where the school is going to be placed near. We've taken that to the local press. The local press have done an article and published it. So it's really good because other people now, it's raising that public awareness to bring people together. So other things you can do is looking at bringing general public meetings, which we've held quite a few. Different branches have held a few general public meetings where the general public turn up because they're concerned, they're scared. So it's a variety of different ways.
What's the feedback been? Because obviously a lot of people do support the net zero agenda. They do want green energy, and they have bought in to obviously what we've been told about solar farms and battery farms. So how have you managed to reach those people?
Well, I'm going to be very honest. When I've been out campaigning about this myself, general public, when they realise that it's taking over these fields that have been next to their house for God knows how many years, and they're absolutely horrified to see that, or know that these fields are going to be covered with solar panels. They're horrified most of the time. People are up in arms about it, especially when it's on your doorstep.
I was just going to say that because it's funny because a lot of people generally across the board don't seem to care, or will bury their heads in the sand until it directly affects them. And this is no different. People don't care about that solar farm going up because it's all about, net zero and green energy until it's on their doorstep, and then they don't want it.
That's right. And this is where the general public now, this is why that's why I've created a solar, wind and battery energy storage film to show people the veracity of that rollout, because actually that could be a calamity potentially in the making, but if people don't know about it, how can you do anything about it? You can't, can you?
It does seem very contradictory, doesn't it? Because sometimes people don't think any further than what they're selling you. And it's only once it is going to be on your doorstep and you think, oh my God, we're going to have all these containers taking up thousands of acres of green land. That's that land ruined, those trees cut down. Even for 5G, the amount of trees that are being cut down, it's completely hypocritical, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Scotland,
plants and trees for the planet to survive. You can't
exactly
net zero. It's impossible. And it's like their summit in the Amazon. How much of the the rainforest that they've cut down just to build a road for all the elites to fly in on their private jets and then drive in their massive, diesel guzzling vehicles to go to this summit to talk about how us, the paupers, have got to change the way in which we live our lives, not driving these vehicles, not eating certain foods, to obtain net zero. It is so hypocritical. And I think it takes for people like yourselves to point all of these things out, for people to then actually think about it and realize that it doesn't actually make sense, does it?
No, it doesn't. And but the thing is because people are so busy with their own lives, people don't see what's happening around them. So that therefore people like you and I talking about these things, enlightening people. That's why usually when we do a campaign, we try and focus it on an issue that will impact local people, in some way, shape, or form. because once you can get people's attention in their heart, that's when you can win them over. But if you don't, they're not really that interested, you know. So I could go out and say, oh, well, you know, talk about anything really, and if it doesn't infect them, they don't care.
So that there's two issues really. First of all, it's to give the public the awareness and show them the other side, the negative impacts. But then second is the issue of when sorry, we have a nice small local airport, which is the hypocrisy of the whole thing. You know, we have ULEZ, and we had a lot of people with non-compliant, well, what he classes as non-compliant vehicles. You know, we're in the countryside, surrounded by fields, farmland, trees, and animals and sheep grazing, and we have one of these. So when the likes of celebrities will fly in and out to our airport in Biggin Hill on their private jets, that's okay. But us who live around here, if your car's non-compliant, oh, tough, you can't go anywhere unless you can afford to change your car, or you're going to take public transport, our very, very poor public transport. I mean, you know, there's so many things that people should go, hold on a minute, this just doesn't make sense.
But then a lot of people do. I think a lot of people do question things, but because they think that they can't do anything about it.
Right. That's what I was going to move on to. So first of all, you've got the issue of trying to gain awareness to people who don't see it.
Yeah.
Then when a town or village or whatever suddenly has a proposal that has gone through for a solar farm or battery farm, and they don't want it, they don't know how to fight it. So that's right. The other, and that's the other thing you do, isn't it?
Yeah. So we it's kind of like teaching people, right, this is what we've done here. This was successful. You can go and do that there. Or if we've never done it before, we try and figure out the solution to the problem as to whatever it is, essentially. But yes, that's right.
Say for example, there's been a proposal going for, say, a solar farm or a battery farm. What are the basic steps for people to get together in that community to be able to push back against it, to fight against it with the potential of getting it stopped? If you can quickly some basic steps.
Right, basic steps. You could do so many things. You could set up a local campaign. You could put something out on Facebook. The onus really needs to be coming from a community stance, not just a singular individual, because I find that most of the time people that have been sending freedom of information or whatever, I mean, we get responded to, but some just get ignored, you see. But with something like this, where it's a critical infrastructure, the government call it, you need the support of many, not just the support of yourself.
Say you've built a community team, where would you then go from there? Because this is the thing that scares people off. You'll have a lot of people in a community going, oh no, we don't want this, blah, blah, blah. And they'll just keep talking about it backwards and forwards rather than actually knowing what to do. A lot of people just don't know the steps.
It's actually much easier than what you think. This is why I've designed everything to help people.
Everyone needs a residents association.
Yeah, basically, because that's why we design it, to make it really simple. So for instance, if there was a solar farm going up in your area, you could do a very easy targeted leaflet drop, which we've designed a leaflet for that, which on the National Residents Association, we will be publishing our film when it's ready to be released, which is hopefully not too far away, which will, again, general public will want to watch that because they want to learn more about it, you see. Right. So it's about educating people on every level. Now, if you do that targeted leaflet drop and you've got a Facebook page, people can follow you. So if you're writing to your council, then you say, right, I've written this letter to the council. This is the response. Pardon?
Petitioning? A petition?
Petitioning, absolutely petitioning. You can do an online one. You can do a going out door to door. I mean, we used to do petitioning for stopping 5G masts when we first started doing all of this.
And you've had success, haven't you?
So we are running out
of time. Sorry,
yeah.
But you've had success in pushing back against solar farms.
Signals going.
Yeah, your signal's just gone a little bit. There you go. You're back.
Well, yes. Sorry. What I didn't quite catch what you
It
asked me there.
says you
Sorry.
had some success on pushing back against some solar farms, battery farms, and 5G, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been involved with some solar farms, stopping solar farms. We're working with lots of other groups because what we're finding with solar farms in particular, there's lots of groups that have set up locally in their local area. But the issue is with that is that they're restricted then solely just to that particular topic. But battery energy storage systems, I think we're going to start seeing some unprecedented stuff in the near future. Like I just mentioned, that with the work that's been done in one location, I think that could set a precedence for everywhere because of it getting out into the press.
Yeah. We have actually run out of time, but can you just say where people can find you so they can get all of this information when one of these comes to their area?
Yeah, no problem. Right. Okay. So you can find me on the National Residents Association. I've got a website and you can send an inquiry through the website. We do have an email address, which is nationalresidenceassociation@proton.me. And we have
me.
Yeah. And then we have a Facebook page now, which we only set up the other day. And if you want to catch up on some of our videos, we're just uploading some of our old and new videos to our new YouTube channel. And we are on Telegram as well.
Right. So your Telegram channel, is that just the National Residents Association?
Just the National Residents Association. Yeah.
And the website address is?
National Residents Association. Yeah, you will find it.
So if people put it into Google, they'll find it because there is a whole array of information. So for people who are stuck or want to know a little bit more, all of that information is on there for people to understand what these are actually about and how to push back against them if they suddenly find a proposal's gone in their area.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry
to help you.
Yeah, I know you helped me in my area with some basics. So, and I don't think we could have done it without you. So thank you. And thank you for coming on and talking to us. We will
Thank you for having me.
We will have to come back on again at some time because there is so much for you to talk about and we never have enough time to cover everything. So yes, that was Cassie from the National Residents Association. It's .co.uk. So they call it net zero, a future where emissions disappear, where everything is green, clean, but net zero is not achievable, not if you want this planet to survive. Behind the smooth slogans and glossy PR, a new kind of infrastructure is quietly transforming communities and not necessarily for the better, all of which isn't just to manage energy, but to monitor everything. We are told this is progress, but for who and at what cost? Net zero infrastructure is not neutral. It's not always clean. Decisions being made behind closed doors by global interests and investment funds and unelected agencies, while the people who live next to these projects are kept in the dark. But you are not powerless. Across the country and world, people are waking up. Local residents associations, headed under the National Residents Associations, are forming, uniting farmers, parents, tradespeople and elders, not to oppose to the future, but to demand one on their terms. Reading the fine print, attending planning meetings, filing objections, organising town halls, educating your neighbours, and in some cases, stopping these projects cold. Because once you understand what's being built around you, once the community is informed, it's no longer a target, it's a firewall. So if you're listening, consider this your call to action. Ask questions, find your neighbours, form a local residents association and push back, because the future is being built right now and we still have time to decide what it looks like. That's all we've got time for today. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Claire Dyer. This is DYER Consequences here on unprecedented.tv. You'll find us on YouTube, X, and soon Rumble. So please follow. And thank you to everyone who already is and for your support. And we'll see you again next week.